Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the podcast where we review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Baby, let's go! As we continue on the new Disney Plus series by Marvel Studios, She-Hulk Law of Attorney, this is an episode 2 review, and yes, this is a spoiler. So if you have not seen this show, please pause this, give me a thumbs up, go check it out, then come back, tell me how you guys like the show in the comments. Let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Just everything, guys. I want to hear your opinion, your voice, your theories about the MCU. So let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely let's get into it. In the episode 2, it continues on from where episode 1 left off, and She-Hulk saves some innocent people from getting crushed. And then they go to a bar for a celebration, and everybody's having a good time. She's drinking, having fun. And then her boss comes and fires her for saving those innocent people because in the court, the people she was going against ruled out the fact that the jury is now in favor of her for saving their lives, and they're more biased for her, or maybe it's unbiased, I forget, but they're more against war on She-Hulk, so their their final decision may affect the case in a way. So it unraveled. The other team won, and now She-Hulk is jobless, and she's been struggling to find another job, and nobody wants her because everybody in the whole world knows that she is She-Hulk. Jennifer is just trying to make her way. She even started looking online to see other non-jobs that are not about law school or being a lawyer, basically, and her friend Jen was like, no, you stay there. You work. You find it. And then later in the episode, you see that she goes back to the bar, and then a man who works for the GLK&H offers her a job, and the only reason why he wants her because he wants her to defend people who are superheroes and who have superpowers, and he wants her to be in She-Hulk form while working the case in court. She accepts that, even though she's not thrilled that the only reason why he wants to hire her is to be She-Hulk. But this is because before that, she saw her family, and everybody was kind of like talking about little successful things, and someone kind of rubbing it in her face, and obviously her mom and dad care, so they're trying to comfort her and move on. But she obviously takes this job. And her first client is Abomination. At first, she was kind of against it, just because him and her cousin Hulk have a history, obviously from the Ed Norton movie, and it's the same actor from that Incredible Hulk film. Which is she finally accepts it because if she did accept it, she wouldn't have a job. And Abomination did bring up some good points, which we'll talk about later. She calls up her cousin Bruce and explains, and apparently they've been forgiving each other. They have written letters, and they moved on. And he's off onto the ship, going back to a place where he was at in the Thor Ragnarok movie. So we'll talk about that later too. But at the end of the episode, she finally does this, and then we see Abomination escape and fighting with Wong, where this kind of takes place in the Shang-Chi movie, and that's how it ended. So, and then in the post-credit scene, you see that her dad, She-Hulk's dad, was using her to help fix things, move things around the house, and I think that's really funny and awesome. Such a parent would totally do that with their child. So now let's start with these topics that I have on this show breakdown for me. Let's talk about She-Hulk being fired. Now, as I said in the summary, she got fired for saving innocent people, and what that tells me is that there is going to be, I guess, like at some point in the future, I feel like the next Marvel phase, at whatever point, it's going to be at some point they're going to do the world against the Avengers or anybody who's a superhero or mutant as soon as they decided to introduce the X-Men in some type of way, which I believe they have in this episode, but we'll talk about that when we get there. And what that tells me is the whole world acknowledges the superheroes and the supervillains, and they recognize the Avengers. And a lot of people are grateful, but some aren't. Uh, Especially in like governmental things like that. And this is a a hint. This is a clue of at some point they're gonna do films and shows where the world is not going to be excited to see the next superhero, the new member of the Avengers. This is just the build up to it. Uh, GLK, and H, which is an interesting thing, is I wonder why they're making a department for having She-Hulk. I mean, obviously just to have her attracted and it gets them attention and other opportunities in life, of course, but I think there's something much deeper that's going to go happen. I think that maybe Nick Fury's involved. I think something like that. I think that right now, and with the first episode, this episode two, it just shows them more as like money hungry lawyers, which is true, but I think there's a deeper meaning to why this company is starting a department just for that. Does Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, work there? Who knows? Uh, is there any other people on that team that have superpowers, or maybe a mutant? Who knows? But I think that this has a bigger meaning to it, and I think at some point uh just being an Avengers, you're gonna need like benefits and health insurance and you can't be broke because you gotta have somebody to defend them, right? And I think this is the beginning of it. And I don't think they're gonna reveal it all in the She-Hulk series. I think that this job GLK and H will expand and be added more into other Marvel movies and TV shows, whether as an Easter egg or a reference. But I think they're going to have a much bigger role. And I think this is something that may even be connected to Spider Man. So we'll be in like Sony Marvel properties at some point if they can still play along together, right? Business wise. Let's talk about within the She-Hulk being fired situation, her family. So her mom and dad is they're very supportive and they're very concerned and they're trying to make her feel better but her other relatives for some reason they're trying to always one up her, or they're trying to rub it in her face for being fired. And it was weird. Ched, Ched, the cousin, he I feel like, the joke was he was the smartest one in the family. He was kind of like the stoner, California bro guy, right? And I have a feeling that he's gonna become a Hulk. I think he'll become a Hulk at some point. I think he's somebody that's gonna be around the MCU, and I think I definitely was very entertained by him, and I think I forget the actor's name, but I see him in other films, and yeah, they should keep him more in the Marvel series beyond the She-Hulk. But I can definitely see him becoming one of the Hulks, becoming another Hulk or whatever, right? And because think about it, we have Bruce Banner, the OG, aka the Smart Hulk. You have Jennifer Walters, who is the She-Hulk, duh, right? And she's kind of like a lawyer, very responsible, uh, a business type feel, right? And then now you have their cousin, where I think he's gonna be the silly, goofy Hulk. Is it gonna be somewhat? You know what? They might take some elements from the Teenage Mutant Turtles if they're gonna add more Hulk characters, but not like copy off the Ninja Turtles completely. But the cousin would be like Michelangelo or whatever, just one of the silly ones, right? So I'm just saying, like, you're gonna have different personality Hulks or versions, and I think he's gonna be the silly one. If I go off by like the Disney XD shows, there was like a show where the Hulk had his own Avengers team, and they're all Hulk-like. And I think the one I forget the name. I think he was blue, but he was kind of like the silly one, just goofing around, but he was super strong, right? So I think they might go that way, which it might not happen this season, but I would not count that. I think that's going to happen the most. I think that's a guaranteed thing. That guy, the cousin, will become a Hulk. And how I feel about that, I think that's cool. I think this could help more because the idea of having a solo Hulk film. I think like behind the scenes, it's very difficult. Where I think Universal still owns the rights to produce the films and all that etc. stuff. And I'm not trying to get into that, but I think like if you can't get Bruce Banner to be in all your Marvel shows, but you want a Hulk, well, you just produce more live action Hulk characters. And I think this is one of the safer routes. I mean, I'm not gonna say they're gonna have like 25 of them, which that'd be cool, right? But I think that if they introduce more characters from the Hulk's family that have Hulk powers, incredible Hulk powers, right? I think they can use certain ones, and I'm not saying that there's gonna be a Hulk in every upcoming Marvel film or show, but it's there just in case. Now they can pull it off in a way, and that's where I got out of that. To me, I know that's too deep. Let's talk about Abomination. So Abomination has changed his ways. He is no longer evil. He has no grudge. He's not mad. Apparently, him and Bruce Banner had like made up and wrote letters to each other, like because Abomination's in a prison, and he's not in the D. I think it's the DOCC or the doc where the Captain America Civil War, where they had like this like prison in the middle of the ocean and stuff, where Thunderbolt Ross kind of controlled. He's not locked up there. So that I think he's just locked up in a California base. But I like the little the cannibal movie reference in that. Just a funny thing I thought was funny. But let's see. He claims that the government made him. All he wanted to do was be a super soldier. And then he talks about that. In a way, he kind of stretched the truth. He kind of stretches the truth, like, yeah, did they really make you do that? Did they really make you take it upon yourself to take the Hulk's blood and put it in you and then add more gamma ray or super soldier serum to you? Obviously, he's not telling the truth. Well, he's not telling the truth. He's up to no good. But the way he's talking, he might have a case. And now She Hulk's gonna look into it and will defend him basically in court. So I'm just curious, like, what's his end game to it, right? I know they're gonna still do the Thunderbolt Bolt Ross thing. I know they're gonna do the Dark Avengers and their version of a Suicide Squad team up, and I definitely Abomination is gonna be in this the Dark Avengers, right? And he's definitely gonna be a part of that because he's really the bad guy and he's not an anti-hero, but you know, for now, out of episode two, he's somewhat the possibility of being the good guy. Like he did change his ways because he doesn't want to change, but I think when you have the right person, you can persuade him to change. what I think about that, all with all that being said, I think, to me, okay, I think that's a great route to go. I think you got to build him up. You got to give him a new angle because we haven't seen this character for a long time. Like until they did like the Shang-Chi movie, and now this. This is the only time we really saw him, and they never really spoke about him before those movies. Obviously, the Infinity Saga was more about Thanos and what on the original, the OG Avengers, obviously, and so it has that element. But I think this is a small build up because we know they got they got like about I think two Avengers movie, and I think like they're not. I think this the I think like the Dark Avengers or whatever they're gonna call this group. I mean, there's a ton of names, right? But if they call them the Dark Avengers or whatever they call them, right? It I think to me personally, I would say it would be on a Disney Plus. I think it's gonna be a Disney Plus format. I don't think they would do it in theaters. Now, that I could be wrong. Like I don't know shit. Okay, let's be clear. I don't know shit. Can these characters bring people to the movie theaters? And that's the big million dollar, or not million, billion dollar question. In my mind, they I would be okay with it, but if I had to be realistic, I think it would be a Disney Plus series because I don't think it would have the impact to bring people to the movie theaters. Like it would sell some tickets, but not like any other Marvel film, like like Thor: Love and Thunder, uh, the Black Widow, just to name a few. But it's like I just don't see it. So I think if for me, I think there's going to be a Disney Plus series, and I think it's going to be a lot shorter episodes but longer. Because they definitely want to make it feel like a movie, but I don't think it could be a movie in theaters like that. So yeah, but hey, I could be wrong. Who's Marvel could roll the dice and take a big chance doing that. Like what phase would they? With the phase they're in now, and we're heading into the next phase next year. We don't know. Like we don't know which way they go because all the stuff they have announced that's going to be coming out next year and so forth. This could help the excitement to see a Dark Avenger movie. Like it could. It might. So that's what I think. For now, I'm just gonna say I think their safe bet is they're gonna put that on a Disney Plus. Let's talk about the Wolverine reference. So, while She-Hulk was looking at jobs that weren't about being a lawyer, there's an article claims that there was a guy with like knife claws, fighting a bear type thing or whatever, and it referenced the one of the Wolverine movies, right? And that's a straight up Wolverine X-Men reference. So Wolverine exists in the MCU, but he's not famous. So how do I put this? Where are they? I think they exist. I think from when I remember the in the Avengers Endgame, Rocket from Guardian of the Galaxy mentioned about that the Infinity Stones leave a huge radiation, and they've been snapped about one. Well, we know Thanos is the one. Well, Thanos did it twice, so Thanos one, then Thanos two again, right? And then Hulk, and then Iron Man. So that's four times that's been snapped. So that's a huge radiation, And I feel like all those snaps have caused a rippled effect and changed people's genetics without nobody realizing it. In the Ms. Marvel series, there was something wrong with her DNA, Kamala's DNA, and they left it as that. And that's like they use the word mutation. They didn't say mutant, but they're getting. It seems like we're getting closer and closer. Like they're planting seeds about it, and they're gonna grow this out. So when it gets ready, so obviously this means Wolverine's not famous. It means that the X-Men are not famous as well. It means nobody knows who Charles Xavier is and Magneto is yet. And I think that I think in the 616 universe, I think obviously they're gonna have different actors play these characters, but I don't know if if Disney wants to touch upon doing Wolverine's origin story, which I think they could. I think they can do the comic book story origin of it. How, like, Wolverine was tested out to have the super soldier serum. Now, remember, in the Fox days, they couldn't use those words. They couldn't use what the MCU owned. MCU can't use words like mutants because Fox owns those words, right? And same with Sony and stuff. So, but now the times has changed. Fox has been bought out by Disney. Now, whatever they could not, certain words, certain names and characters or whatever, they could not use because Fox at the time owned those properties. Now they can do it. That's why I think She-Hulk is able to do the fourth wall breaking because obviously Deadpool was owned by Fox at the time, so they probably own that too to do the fourth wall breaking. Maybe, I don't know, but now this because to me in these two episodes they already reference the X-Men that will the mutants, and then it's definitely Ms. Marvel. So there's that, and my theory is here's one of my theories. I think that, like I said, I think they're gonna tell Wolverine's origin story, but use it in a way of saying, yeah, because you gotta. I think my here's my theory about. I know I keep saying that, but I think that at some point it'd be cool if they said, okay, yeah, well, Steve Rogers had this, right? And let's say this. Let's say when Captain America, Steve Rogers, he was, on tour with the ladies, right? Remember where we all found out when Steve Rogers lost his virginity and stuff, and that it's very clear that She-Hulk has the hots for him. And all that being said, so maybe in that time, that's when they started experimenting again, and they did this in Canada. That's okay. You can do it in Canada, right? So while Steve Rogers is going around tour promoting Captain America, supporting the soldier serum, I think the U.S. government might have did some underground stuff with some refugees, which I'm thinking about Wolverine, and tested it on him. And this is like, if you think about in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, how there was a black Captain America in that same time and era, and they hid it because of the color of his skin. Okay, so they can do that same route, that same story in a way, not with the color of his skin, but uh, they can do that and say, well, this was a test that we did off the books. Nobody knew about it, and we did it off of U.S. soil ground, which is, I mean, in deep into Canada where they would never expected it. It was, they're close by to Canada, but it was far further away off of all America soil ground, right? And I think that's the one theory I think they can do with that because you know we they can say like okay because they don't have to be famous now, but if you're going to introduce them all over again, you might as well do it like this. And I think it'd be great because then they can use the word vibranium. They put vibranium steel into Logan's body. You can say that the experience that they did with Steve Rogers, and then you know what? I think this is another connection to Hydra because there's somebody who may I because we know in the Captain America Winter Soldier that there was Hydra spies working in Agent of Shield, and we don't know how long ago that's been planted. Well, we kind of do. I kind of get the idea, but I think there was one person that was doing these underground experiments, and I think that's how they should do it. Tell that story like that, and that's how you get Wolverine into the MCU. This is how you explain Wolverine's origin story again, but with more of a breath of fresh air to that, and I think that'd be really cool. Um, and another thing is they don't have to have Wolverine meet the X Men yet. If they want to go start with Wolverine and then build up to the X Men, that's cool because Wolverine's always been the lone wolf. So, or they could start with the X Men, then work their way off to Wolverine. But I feel like since they have so many X Men films where it's been that way, I think the best way is to reverse it. Have Wolverine build the X Men, like discover other people, but not be part of the X Men. Like he started it, he gave the idea, like he meets Charles Xavier, then he meets like Rogue or Cyclops. Start the feud. There's so many ways, but another thing I just want to point out, like not all the X Men movies were bad, so I hope like some of these X Men movies can be multiverse canon. You know, I would hope so. That'd be cool. Let's talk about where did the Hulk go? So he goes back to Sakaar, and the question is why? Now, are they going to do his wife and kids? Because in I think it was Planet Hulk or World War Hulk, one of the comic books, the Hulk obviously had full control, and he fell in love with the woman on Sakaar and had a kid, and Hulk has a son. Uh, I I don't know. I don't know. See, I don't know if they're gonna do that one. I don't know if they're gonna go straight to that now. I think to me that'd be into the idea of this next topic of World War Hulk. I think to me, if you're gonna do that, I would do that after doing the World War Hulk movie. I think that that's a story that should happen after. So I believe to me that he could go back to help Sakaar um, get better. Like they're kind of stuck, and yeah, they're stuck there. So maybe they need a better way of living. So they need help to find food to make food, have water. basic needs of living, basically. And I think the Hulk is going to help that. I also think that he's going to go back into battle. I think that planet is in trouble, and I think this is where uh, maybe Thor will show up because this is a Thor territory. But now, since Thor has a child, a daughter now, I think there's a possibility of using that as an excuse of why he would not be in the World War Hulk movie. If they, because it's been heavily rumored for that film. So, but to me, this is it because this is one because they're not gonna. Because to me, this is like what I got out of it is from after episode 3 and the next episodes until the end of the season, we won't be hearing or seeing the Hulk. I think Hulk is gone. The Hulk's back out of space, and I think She Hulk's going to be the only Hulk on planet Earth right now. So Bruce Banner has exited the show, and I don't think we're going to hear from him. But this is a thing where you're going to have to go see the next MCU film in theaters, right? And you got to think what film's coming out. Well, Guardian Galaxy 3, that could be a possibility, but I doubt that. I doubt that, but because what would be the reasoning? But it's a possibility that they could have the Hulk in Guardian Galaxy Volume 3 as a post credit scene is what I'm trying to get at. So I don't think we won't see Bruce Banner for a while into the next Marvel film that would make sense to see that in a post credit scene, and whatever film that may be. Because you got that. It could be in Wakanda Forever. It could be Captain America 4. It could be Ant-Man and the Wasp Girl, Quantumania. It could be the Avengers, Kang the Dynasty. You just don't know, but this is a this is them saying, okay, now the rest of the you got 2 episodes with Bruce Banner. Now the rest is just about She-Hulk and her being a lawyer. Like that's what I think. That's what's going. Um, let's talk about the post-credit scene. Uh, so obviously, Abomination escapes, and they show a video of him fighting Wong, which took place in the Shang-Chi movie. And I know in the timeline it's She-Hulk's after Moon Knight and before Miss Marvel, I believe. And so I know the director of She-Hulk mentioned that, yeah, it was slightly, but they sped it up to get to why they placed it where She-Hulk's at in the timeline. And you can check on the Disney Plus, but I think that's why. But this is going to continue because in the Shang-Chi movie, Wong did send him back to his cage, so it's going to be a question of like why and how. And on next Thursday, we'll find out why that all went, and so I can't wait for the Shang-Chi Easter egg reference and stuff because they haven't really talked about him per se in a full sentence and scene for a minute now. So I'm pretty excited about that. So, uh, and then this one last theory, Valerie. I think Valerie from Falcon and Winter Soldier, who's recruiting like the John Walker and other others, right? I think she's gonna recruit Abomination. I think that she could be the main leader for Thunderbolt or for the Thunderbolts Ross, but the Dark Avengers, because the actor who played Thunderbolt Ross has passed away, and I'm sorry I don't know his name, but I'm saying in all respect, I think that obviously they haven't found another actor to play that character, and so maybe Valerie's the one to do that. So I think that may push back the idea of seeing the Red Hulk, but I think she's going to be the one that's going to recruit Abomination, and she might be the one behind the whole thing of why Abomination wanted She-Hulk to represent him in court. Like she could be behind it, pulling the strings and stuff. And let's see, Sharon Carter too. Like she might be behind it too because she's got some. She's back in America, and her heart has changed, and the way she views life is different now. And she might be Valerie's right hand female. So that's what I think. That's would be cool, but who knows? But I really like this. It wasn't a very high action packed episode. It was more of a lot of talking, a lot of acting, but which is awesome. They all did a great job, and there it was kind of slow, but I'm definitely giving it a 7. 1 out of 10. I'm giving it a 7. It wasn't great. They left it open. But now it's real curious how the rest of the episode's going to be like without showing Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. So we'll see. But so far, I really enjoy this show. I think She-Hulk is going to be a definitely a popular character for all the Marvel fans and people who haven't really know about her. I mean, this is her actually first live action series. I mean, at one time it was a potential back in a long, long time ago, but it never really happened. So definitely like this episode, and I'm definitely enjoying the show. So thank you for listening to my review. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel, and thank you all. So please definitely share with your friends and family. Help me kick this algorithm in the butt so I can get more views and have more subscribers and supporters. So thank you and peace